step. Another day, another breath. Been chasing dreams.
Hey, the North, I get strong.
I got a new attitude and a lease on life. There's a piece of mind. Seeking to find I can sleep when I die. Want a piece of the pie. Got the keys to the ride. And I'm straight. I'm on my way. I'm on my way. Get out my way. I'm running late. What can I say?
The world is up for grabs. I feel glorious, glorious. Got a chance to start again.
You okay?
I would
Worried about you yesterday.
this from the best. It's who I am. I put it back. I made it through the darkest part of the night.
We are not here to be average. We're here to be amazing.
Now I feel glorious, glorious. I feel glorious, glorious.
Dr. Vera.
Hi, Lisa. Hi, everyone.
Hi, how are you doing today?
I'm great.
So apart from that little hiccup that we just had, oh my goodness, I'm so sorry about that. I just want to let you know that I've been following you just kind of on the side. You probably didn't hear me say this, but I've really been feeling like there's a person in this community who, when people are afraid of an issue, they're there and they step up and they say, no, let's talk about this. And I feel like those people are our heroes in our community. And Dr. Vera, I have to let you know, you are that person for us. I believe you are a hero because not only do you do amazing work, right? People who do amazing work, but you're not afraid of stepping into uncomfortable situations and having discussions. So I want to congratulate you on being nominated as a PowerUp hero.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me, Lisa. I think this is a wonderful thing that you're doing for the community.
Yeah, I'm just most excited. And I know part of introducing you, I want to let people know that, you are well known throughout the nation and you have over 10 years as an educator. There's just so many things we can say about you. And even though you're the PowerUp hero of education, it has to do with not just in the classroom, it has to do with even in the real world, just sharing knowledge with people. So I'm going to just start off right off the bat and just kind of ask you, what do you do?
I am the president of the Corpus Christi American Federation of Teachers. I advocate generally for educators, that be teachers, paraprofessionals, bus drivers, diagnosticians, librarians, nurses, not administrators. Although, in a sense, I do advocate for administrators and public education. So I speak up and speak out on behalf of educators.
I love that. You speak up and speak out. So I'm seeing a trend here. We're going to probably end up with tweetable moments, right? During this talk. So I just want to put that out there right away is, one of the things that I've noticed about you is you're very focused on the Corpus Christi American Federation of Teachers. And you do these sessions too. Just like I'm going live right now, you go live with your audience. Can you tell us why you think that's important? Why is it important for you to share live with people?
Communication is of utmost importance, and sometimes information needs to be disseminated in a quick, precise, and visual way so that everybody will know and feel comfortable in knowing that you're telling them what you actually know is the truth. And that's why it's so important.
I know. And, I think sometimes I go live. I used to do these shows. I used to record them and then edit them and then post them. And I felt like we lost all the natural sense of who this person was when we were just recording. So I really do appreciate you doing that because as a parent who is trying to make sure that my children are still getting the education that they need through this pandemic, I just want to congratulate you for being an advocate for our teachers because, we know now that we can't do anything without our teachers. And I think we're talking about teachers being heroes, but they've always been heroes, but I think now it's even more in the forefront. As parents, we're seeing more clearly why the teaching profession is something that we shouldn't take lightly. So what made you enter this, arena of teaching? What sparked that hope that you had for being successful in education?
Well, I've been in education for about 35 years, and what sparked it was this need to be able to help others that I have. It's an altruistic thing that many of us as teachers have. We want to help others. And what better way to help others than to start from the point where we can educate our children to be more knowledgeable about things around them, about the world, but also teach them how to be happy, teach them the social skills that they need in order for them to be successful in their lives. And when I first started considering teaching, of course, there were many influential people around me during that time. I was growing up in the 1970s, during which there was school segregation, and then here in Corpus Christi, there was Cisneros versus the CCISD Board of Education, which desegregated schools, and I saw many people, Manuel Narvaez and Linda Bridges, and a whole plethora of folks who really cared about the children, and I became inspired. I was motivated to do that. And so when I went into teaching, I was teaching and I saw the difficulties and the obstacles that teachers had. And I said, somebody has to defend teachers. Somebody has to go out there and advocate for teachers because they're doing what's right. So that's why I became an educator. That's why I became an advocate for teachers, because in helping teachers, we help the children and the community.
I love that you said that. You know, I think when you painted the backstory of how you saw people who inspired you pretty much, right, to do the work
Yes.
you did. You know, I always think to myself, you know, education is one of those things that we take for granted, right? And so I think in some communities, so I grew up in Nairobi, Kenya, and now we have elementary education being mandatory as something that is, you have to pay for. But I grew up knowing that you have to pay to go to school. And coming here to the United States and realizing that school's free here, anyone can go to school and anyone can get an education. And then here you are, talking about going through the education system in, it's through segregation. I think you used that term, and you talked about how that's kind of the lens that you went through, understanding that even though everyone has access, doesn't mean that it's equitable. That doesn't mean that everyone's included. And so you're sort of fighting for that, right? Is that
Right.
kind of
Right. And I go back to what Dr. Hector P. Garcia, one of our strong heroes in the Corpus Christi area and across the world, said to the superintendent back then. The superintendent was Dana Williams. And Dana Williams told Dr. Hector, I don't see what the difference is. The children on the west side get the same chicken, fried chicken that the people on the south side get. The students on the south side said, well, Dr. Garcia said, yes, but we get the dark meat and they get the white meat. There's a difference. So there has to be equity. Everything has to be, we have to treat everyone as human beings, and as though, because all folks have this spirit, have this magical heart that we have to celebrate, that we have to venerate, because that's the spirit that moves us. That's the spirit that keeps us going. And if we look at the pandemic right now, which I call a pestilence that has crossed this country, I see many people rising up to the occasion and saying, you know what, we're going to do everything we can, especially the first responders, especially the medical the medical profession, the nurses, the doctors, and all of those who are dedicated to ensuring that we are healthy and that they help us through these very difficult times.
One of the things I pride myself on, I guess, is that, part of going through life is knowing that you don't start off with a blank slate. There's always an opportunity for you from where you came from. When you were born, somebody had to take care of you. That's why you're existing right now. Otherwise, you wouldn't. And so I'm hearing you say all these things. And I always think like the reason why people are the way they are is because of a blueprint, right? The things you're talking about, you're quoting influential people in our community who have made things happen. We talk about Dr. Hector P. Garcia is named everywhere in our community, and for reasons, that have to do with providing equal access, equitable access to everybody, making sure everyone is included. And, one of the things I want to ask you, and maybe people may not know this, I want you to tell me about your foundation. I want you to tell me about your legacy. Maybe tell me about, what family do you come from? I always say, we have a platform. Some of us have a platform that rose us up really high, and some of us have a platform that just made us realize that we had to do better. What is your platform, and where do you come from, Dr. Vera?
Well, I'm very blessed because my family has been here since I think the mid 1800s in Corpus Christi, Texas, and through that, my grandfather was born here, and my great grandmother was born in Corpus Christi. And as we move forward, I was blessed to have my maternal grandparents with me growing up, and they influenced a lot of what I know in terms of, for example, my ability to speak Spanish, my ability to look at things in a rational way. But I think the pillar of my family was my mother. My mother was always adamant about my brother and me getting an education. She said an education was the key to knowing what you need to know and moving forward and helping others. And as my mother, even though we were poor, my mother always treated people equitably. We never saw any differences in others. We took people because we worked with people because of their character. And that's what my mother taught us. That's what she instilled in my brother and me. And that was what was so important, even though there were times in my life where we experienced racism, discrimination, and all of that. And many people say, well, that's not, well, it is true. When we moved into this neighborhood in the house I still live in, we were the first Latino family in this neighborhood. And the lady next door to me didn't like us moving into this neighborhood. And one Sunday, my mother had dressed me up and put me on the stoop here in front of my house. And the lady next door, a neighbor, saw me, and she was watering her lawn, and she turned the hose on me and got me all wet. Well, my mother was looking at that from outside. My grandfather came out, and he was livid. He was furious. And what we did is they were proactive. They brought me into the house. They took care of me. And my grandfather put up a 10-foot fence, and so that we wouldn't be exposed to that kind of racism. But that was my first experience. And I was about, I would say 4 or 5 years old. So I knew that coming through. And you know what, Lisa? Mm-hmm. I would say about 3 years ago.
Yeah.
On a street, I think it was Airline. And I was at a stoplight behind 3 cars. And I was looking to my left, and I saw that the traffic started moving out of the corner of my eye. And so I released my brake, and I hit a car accident. I really tapped it. Well, I said, I better get out. And I turned off my car, I went out, and I asked the lady who came out if she was okay. And she started yelling at me. She called me a Mexican. She told me, you probably don't even have any insurance. Do you know what kind of car it was? And I said, and it was a Porsche. And I just looked at her, and it brought all of that home to me. And I was dressed professionally, ready to go to work. And we stopped at the parking lot, and I can't tell you, talking about bringing it back home to where we need to be in terms of advocating for others, that lady brought it home to me. And right now, although at the time I was angry, I kept my cool, I did all of that. I cried a lot because I couldn't believe that someone would do that in this day and age. Yeah. But the fact of the matter is, even though we want to think that this is over, we see more and more each day how hate and anger and insecurity rise for no reason at all, instead of looking at love, kindness, understanding, and empathy. And that's why I think teaching is so important, is that teachers teach in that way, with kindness, with empathy, altruistically. And in doing that, and in all of those experiences, those are the experiences of people of color and people who are women, or people who are different, people who just don't fit the mold of what should be, whatever that is. Right. That's why my mother, in everything I did before she died a couple of years ago, of course, she would always turn on candles and was worried about me because I was speaking up and speaking out. Yeah. I mean, there were candles all over the house. Are you
saying that she would do like a prayer candle for you? Like, oh my gosh. Boy, Nancy, let me pray for her.
Yeah, and so she would turn on candles. She said, Nancy, I said, Mom, you know that's right. She says, yes, that's right. But oh my God. And I said, don't worry, I'll handle it. And but she was always supportive, and I miss that now. I miss that terribly. I miss her. But if you're talking about my foundation, and I'm my mother's legacy, I'm my grandparents' legacy, my parents' legacy, and I've never forgotten that. That's why I try to be the best person I can be. I'm not always successful, but I try to be the best person I can be. And I do it for other family members too, my extended family, because I have some strong women in my family.
I love it. Okay, so you totally unpacked what a hero is, right? So a hero lives on the lens of being the best version of themselves. And then also, Dr. Vera, you touched on the fact that we're not always the best version of ourselves, but a hero identifies that. And I follow a gentleman called Brian Johnson, and he says, that's like me. You are human. Give yourself grace. And the fact that you recognize that you have room for improvement is really what a hero does. A hero knows when they have work to do. They don't think that they walk on water and everything's perfect and I don't need help and da-da-da. No. You know when you've fallen short, and you know when you need help bringing yourself back up.
That's right. That word that you said, grace, that is so important, because we need to do everything gracefully and kindly. So that to me is a key word in terms of leadership. Be grateful and graceful as you accepting compliments and giving compliments and giving help. Yes, giving help.
So I've been kind of stalking you a little bit through this interview setting up. So there's a quote you made, and I just want to say the quote, and then I will ask you a question based off of that. So Dr. Vera said this. She said, my motto has always been to use my hardships and suffering in life as reasons to succeed and not as excuses to fail. You know, before I ask you the question, I just have to say that sometimes people walk through life thinking, you don't know what I've been through. You don't know where I came from. Like, you need to give me more. They have this expectation of opportunity. They have this expectation of getting a leg up because somehow or another, we need to know where your experiences have been and where you came from. And even through this social justice situation that's going on right now, I kind of feel like I need to break this, kind of, situation where people may be thinking that it's all about people realizing that, hey, you need to give me extra opportunity because of my circumstances, I've earned it. So I love the quote that you said. So my question to you on this quote is, even though we're faced with challenges in our lives, and as a human race, you can't say that there's no human who hasn't never faced challenges. Tell me what this quote means to you in terms of capitalizing on how the challenges are your strengths. How are challenges strengths?
Well, I don't like challenges. I wish everything would go smoothly all the time, and that everybody would do what I want them to do. But that's not a reality. Life is like I always equate it to, and I used to tell my students this, it's a roller coaster. You have your fast moments where you're going downhill and your fast moments when you're going uphill, but then you slow down and then it speeds up again. And that's what life is about. And those challenges that I've encountered have been heavy, as we all have. And that's what I used to tell my students, because some of them would come up to me and they were sad about this or sad about that. And some were very severe circumstances. And I said, so what are you going to do? There's no way you can control your situation right now. But how are you going to turn it into something positive? When my mother, for example, when my mother was diagnosed with advanced colon cancer, I remember she went in for a procedure, and the doctor came out and told me, I'm sorry, she's just not going to make it. It's just too severe. And she has cancer. And I think that's the first time I had sort of like an out-of-body experience where I could feel myself in another realm of some sort. And I asked the doctor, you think I should tell her? And he said, yes, she's under sedation, and right now would be the time to tell her. So she was in the cot, and I went over to her, and I said, Mom, you have advanced cancer, and it doesn't look like you're going to be here for too long. And she looked at me, sedated and all, and she said, it's not my time, Nancy. It's not my time yet. And I said, Mom, come on. And I was crying. I was just all over the place. And she says, I'm going to be all right. Because she knew, because she was that strong of a woman. She had a resolve and an intuition and wisdom to know that she had more to do on this earth. And instead of giving up and saying the doctors are right, my mother persevered. In fact, after that situation, after she went through major chemo, major radiation, the suffering, the crying, the fear, the anxiety, all of those things, she lived for another 7 years. And she, even though the quality of life wasn't 100% that she had, it was 90%. But through those years, that time that she remained on earth for those 7 years, she wanted me to get my doctorate. I got it for her. She wanted me to be successful in everything I did, and I tried it because she was there for me. So when you're talking about challenges and you're talking about perseverance, my mother knew that it was not her time. My mother knew that the challenge was horrific, but she did it. And in that's why I tell my students, don't give up. Don't use it to say, you know what, I didn't get my degree because I just didn't have the money. There's no excuse. Where there's a will, as they say, there's a way. And that's what I would tell my students. There's no excuse anymore. You can go to college. You can succeed. You can be whatever you want to be. It's difficult, and sometimes people may not like it, and you may have to develop a very thick skin where, and that's another thing, Lisa, is that when we're in the public eye, we are like targets for people to criticize and put down. But we have to know in our hearts that what we're doing is the right thing, and we're doing it for the right reasons. And that's what keeps me going. And that's how I'm able to meet those challenges. That's how I was able to cope with my mother's cancer and other obstacles that we've had in my life. So that's the way. And of course, family is most important.
Yes. You know, and I asked you the question about family because I think we all need to know where we come from. And sometimes our foundation may be rocky. And so it's important to know that sometimes the rockier it is, the more it's polishing you to be a diamond, right? How do you become a diamond? So all the roughness gets kicked out of you.
Right. And my father was a major alcoholic. I mean, everybody will tell you that. And I loved him, but that was a major challenge in our lives. And even earlier in my life, when my grandfather, I told you my grandparents lived with me, my grandfather went blind, and we took care of him here at home. And my shift, I was going to Del Mar College at the time, and my shift was the night shift because he would get lost in the house, and he would yell for help. And I would get up and find him, but I never gave up because my mother always said, keep your chin up. You're better than that. You have to succeed, whatever this means.
Whatever it means. And, you know, I think sometimes we think of our lives and, you know, you're talking about your grandparents, and then of course you had your great grandparents, and you had people who came before that have led up to the platform that you're on. And Dr. Vera, do you believe that you are standing on a platform that is higher than any person in your generation has lived at?
In my family?
Yes.
I can't say I'm higher because I have a lot of relatives who have succeeded in their own ways. What I do know is that I have overcome the lack of self-esteem that some people have, the lack of self-confidence, and I like myself. Even though I'm trying to always do better, I like myself. I'm okay with myself. And that is with my glasses, with my hair, with my physically, spiritually. I have to say that spiritually, I know myself. I was lucky enough because my mother worked so hard to attend Catholic school during my elementary and my middle school years. And I remember the nuns they were strong and they're still alive. Sister Colette Breheny, Sister Barbara Nedick, Sister Patrice, Sister Elizabeth, all of those strong women who were there to teach me values, to teach me how to be strong and to believe in myself. And that's what we have to do, is that we have to take those negative, if somebody criticizes you, it's a criticism and so what? But if somebody gives you constructive criticism, listen to that, try to see how you can become a better person and see if that fits in line with what or who you want to be. Because Maya Angelou always said, the great writer, she's one of my sheroes, that we never stop learning. We never stop becoming. And so even until the moment I die, I think I'm going to still be becoming. I'm going to still be learning. And that never ends. And that's why teaching is so beautiful and so sacrosanct. And why the students are sacrosanct, because we need to lift each other up. And that's what we need to do. I don't care if you're Black, white, Latino, LGBTQ, what your religious background is. We have to lift each other up in a positive way. Some of the rhetoric that we're hearing now is so ugly, and it's not okay to be ugly. I don't care if it's the president of the United States, and then doing it publicly on social media. What a mistake. I had to unfriend a friend who had been, we've known each other since elementary school. And he said, he put something vulgar on social media. And I said, I can't control your opinion. I said, but it tells me a lot about your character. And I'm unfriending you right now because I don't want to hear any of that nonsense. That's nonsense. That's minutia.
It really is. And I mean, as part as, one of the things that I always say about PowerUp is we're nonpartisan. So we always try to make sure that all the research and all the opportunities we provide are not based off of a party, so they're based off of just understanding the humanity in the work that needs to be done. How can we inch the human race further and make it better, right? And so, you touched a little bit about social justice. So let's kind of go there a little bit. I think one of the things you do, we know you today. And so today the focus is, for me at least, is as the Corpus Christi American Federation of Teachers president. But talk to me a little bit about your social justice work and how that fits into the work that you do.
Well, it's just everything comes together. The work of the Corpus Christi American Federation of Teachers is to move the agenda for all humanity to live happy, successful, safe lives. In doing that, we engage with community. We engage with the Immigration Coalition, the South Texas Human Rights Center. We engage with the LGBTQIA plus community. We with the Black Lives Matter community, and all of that, because everyone is welcome in our classrooms. So in this sense, every human being is welcome in our community. And I think the Corpus Christi American Federation of Teachers is that role model for other organizations to see how we can work together to improve everybody's lives. And working with, for example, Judge Ina Klein on domestic violence and other folks who are so concerned about domestic violence, working with people who are poverty-stricken, working with people who have mental issues. All of that matters. And the fact of the matter is, here in Corpus Christi, do you know, Lisa, that there are pockets of 40% illiteracy in this community where people don't know how to read and write? And that, of course, hurts everybody. If one person is hurting in a community, all of us hurt.
Yes.
So we speak out as the Corpus Christi American Federation of Teachers. We're speaking out for every human being. I mean, Maya Angelou used to quote this playwright named Terrence saying, I'm a human being. Nothing human is alien to me. Nothing human is alien to me. And at that, I believe, nothing that anybody is or who they are or what they do is alien to me, because I'm capable of doing the same thing. And
Right.
in that's where we get the human spirit and the heart to be able to work together in unison for the good of our community. And
Right.
yes, sometimes it gets ugly. But we also have to call out those folks who are ugly in and of themselves, who are racist, who are misogynistic, who beat other human beings, their spouses. We will not tolerate that. And that's why we have to be strong voices. Like John Lewis said, get into good trouble, period.
Yes. I love it. And you're good at that. I have to say, I think, okay, so let me say something. Some of us walk that line where we're like, okay, Dr. Vera, are you going to go? And you go, and we're like right there, like, okay, Dr. Vera went. So I have to tell you, this is why you're a hero, because I think a hero goes first, right? A hero realizes where there's an opportunity and doesn't wait for people to tell him yes, no, yes, that's a good thing to do. It's whatever is feeding their intuition, right? Whatever's feeding your heart, and it makes you realize, no, that's wrong. Oh, yes, that's right. Let's celebrate you. So I'm going to kind of touch on the American Federation of Teachers. I know we have a lot of people who may be watching right now who may be curious about what is the American Federation of Teachers. So before we answer that question, I'm going to share a video. But for those of y'all who are watching, I need you to go grab something to drink because we still have a lot of talking to go on. I know I haven't talked to Dr. Vera in a long time. And I have some very personal questions to ask her in terms of, my own career aspirations and where I see my life going, because I'm a person of purpose. And I really feel like connecting with people who are making things happen and who seem to be living their life through a purpose-filled lens is really the way to go. You need to find out from the experts. And so treat this session right now as your little insider view of a little one-on-one with me and Dr. Vera. But we'll be right back, okay? We'll just take a little break.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'm Dr. Roland Hernandez, the proud superintendent of the Corpus Christi Independent School District. I've been in education for 25 years. I'm very proud of Corpus Christi ISD and everything that we've accomplished, and I'm public school proud.
Hi, my name is Dr. Nancy Vera, and I'm a 35-year educator and president of the Corpus Christi American Federation of Teachers, and I'm public school proud.
I'm public school proud. Estoy muy orgullosa por estar en la Unión AFT.
My name is Clarissa Serna, and I am a Carroll High School graduate. I am public school proud.
I am Amanda Cameron, the proud principal of George Evans Elementary. I have been the principal here for now 2 years, and I was prior the assistant principal, so I've been at George Evans for almost 10 years.
My name is Obi Garcia. I am a retired school teacher, school principal, and I am public school proud. One reason that I am public school proud is because this is my 64th year in education. Things that have happened to me, I have been selected as the Texas Principal of the Year for secondary schools.
My name is Oneda Tanguma. I am a teacher at George Evans Elementary, and I am public education proud.
My name is Becky Moeller, and I was the first female president elected to the Texas AFL-CIO. And you know what? That happened because I was a product of public education in Corpus Christi, Texas. I am public education proud. Thank you for supporting public education.
Public school proud.
I'm Dr. Tony C. Diaz, and I'm public school proud.
I am Maria Diaz, and I am public school proud.
Hi there. I'm a Corpus Christi Independent School Board trustee. I was a teacher and coach for 34 years, parents of public school kids, and I am public school proud.
Hi, I'm Bruce Wilson, and I'm the principal of Driscoll Middle School in Corpus Christi ISD. This is my 29th year in education, and I am public school proud.
I'm Mary Helen Bedlanga, and I've been on the State Board of Education for 30 years. I totally support the Texas Public Schools.
I am Alice Upshaw Hawkins. I'm a retired public educator. I still teach part-time at Del Mar. And I am on the board, I serve on the board of CCISD, and I am public school proud.
I love that video, Dr. Vera. Yeah, it's so funny because I was Googling you and trying to find out stuff about you, and I saw that video and I was like, wow, these are all big, huge names. And they're all there talking about AFT. So AFT, I seem to know a lot about it now, but I'll tell you this, viewers, about 3 days ago, I had no idea what AFT was. So I think I kind of want you to paint a picture for us, because one of the things that I'm grateful for is I have a husband who works for CCISD. He's a teacher. He's been teaching for, I think this is his 15th year working for CCISD, but he's been teaching for 13 or 14 years. And in the classroom, I just assumed that everybody joins the union, the AFT union, but that is not the case, right? So I asked him about that, and he told me, no, there's many of them, and you can join whichever one you want. But of course, the biggest one, I guess, is AFT. So for those of you all listening, not all teachers are in a union. So tell us what this means. Like, am I understanding what AFT is, or can you educate me more?
Well, first of all, the Corpus Christi American Federation of Teachers is the only union in Corpus Christi education union. We're affiliated with the AFL-CIO, and that's the umbrella for the Carpenters Union, the Nurses Union, the Communication Workers of America, the Electrical Workers Unions. All middle-class labor is under the umbrella of the AFL-CIO, and of course that includes the American Federation of Teachers. And what makes us different is that we are a local chapter with a state affiliate, the Texas American Federation of Teachers, and a national affiliate, the American Federation of Teachers. Our national president is Randy Weingarten, and our headquarters is in Washington, D.C., and in Austin, Zev Capo is our Texas AFT president. And what we do is we advocate for employees, for wages, benefits, and conditions of work. And because of the American Federation of Teachers here in Corpus Christi, because we started it all here, teachers have a 45-minute planning period. They have a 30 minutes duty-free lunch. You know, it used to be that teachers didn't have any lunchtime. And we're
what? Hold on, can you just stop right there?
They have to go eat with the students and supervise the students in the cafeteria. And
wow. So they each have to work through their lunch.
Yes, and they wouldn't give them restroom breaks. And so we're very proud of our legacy here with the Corpus Christi AFT, because we were the first ones in the state to gain that for our employees. And so you see how important that is. But also the bullying policy that we have against employees in CCISD, where we also were instrumental in getting this district to look at paraprofessionals going to school and becoming teachers themselves. So we've done a lot in that sense, and also advocating for the students. In Corpus Christi, thanks to our national affiliate, the American Federation of Teachers, we've brought over 75,000 books to the community, free for our children, brand new books. And I'm proud to say that on Labor Day, with the Coastal Bend Labor Council, with Christy Moeller-Veit being the president here locally of all the unions, we're getting together and we're going to give out free books on Labor Day from the Electrical Workers Union on Saratoga. So look out for that and the information for that.
So hold on, that you just like dropped a whole bunch of stuff, and my little like PTA mind, I guess, parents teacher like got association thing going on. I'm trying to understand this. Okay, so you're part of the American Federation of Teachers, but you're also part of a bigger union that has to do with electricity and all other things?
Yes, the American Federation of Labor and Congress of Industrial Organizations.
Okay, so there's a person in Corpus Christi who is the president of that bigger organization.
In Corpus Christi, in the Coastal Bend Labor Council. Because they also have affiliates at the state and the national. We're talking about farm workers too. We're talking about, for example, Cesar Chavez and Dolores Huerta. They're all union. And we work together. Becky Moeller is right here from Corpus Christi. She was the state president for the Texas AFL-CIO. She just retired. And Rick Levy is now the current president. So we have major affiliations. So when we're talking union, we're not only talking teachers and what we have in AFT here locally, state and nationally, but we also have the bigger conglomerate of everyone else who works in our community. So we're all together. And
okay, can I just say something? So, I mean, I'm not speaking for myself, but maybe. There may be some people who see union as people join a union because if they do something wrong, they don't want to be held accountable for it. Mm-hmm. Can you unpack that for me?
Well, that's true. There are some teachers and some people who join the union in case they do something and they think the union will get them out of it. But that's not what we do in the Corpus Christi AFT. If we see a teacher who is not fit to be in the classroom, we give them assistance, we work with the school districts, and if that doesn't work, we counsel them out of the profession. So that is not true in terms of them joining, thinking that we're going to represent them no matter what they do. But also, let's be honest here. There are some of our teachers, some of the best teachers that you can ever think of, some of the best, I think, in the world. I mean, they are so good, who have been accused of doing things falsely. And I can't tell you the trauma and the heartache that comes along with that kind of thing. I remember one time I represented a teacher who had been teaching for 34, 35 years. And she tapped a student on the shoulder with a pen. Well, the student cried out and said that was assault. They fired her. We have to lift up our profession. We have to be professionals. And if people are not going to live up to the standards that we have as educators, then they don't need to be an educator. And in fact, the union helps in doing that. The union helps in bringing quality education into our classroom, quality teachers, quality employees. And that's just a myth that some people say, well, they help the bad teachers. What people should do is join the union, because the union together can make a difference in the lives of children. We've done it with First Book. We've done it by providing school supplies. We've done it by doing all of these things, and even counseling and providing professional development for teachers.
Yes. One of the things I can say is everybody's always stronger together. So it sounds like you're stronger together because you're not only thinking about the teaching profession, but you're part of a bigger umbrella that's also thinking about other, labor unions. So that's really, really good. And then I want to touch on that teacher who got fired because of tapping a student on the shoulder with a pen. And of course, the student spoke up about it. And we all know our kids are like, for me. But at the same time, we have to see the value or the necessary action that the student needed to have. Who knows whether that situation was ongoing. But at the same time, for me, I feel like it's important for people to have a voice, right? So I feel like the AFT gives teachers a voice, right? So it sounds like
his voice.
Yeah. So
and this is the thing. Teachers right now know that the schools aren't safe through this pandemic. We know that. Mm-hmm. We have been talking to the superintendent. As their representative, some teachers are afraid to speak up and speak out because they feel that they're going to lose their jobs. So I'm the one that represents them, and I'm happy to do so.
Yes.
But I also take the hits. But what we try to do through the AFT is talk to people. If it's talking to our Nueces County Judge Barbara Canales, if it's talking to council members, if it's talking to the mayor, if it's talking to Todd Hunter or Representative Todd Hunter, Abel Herrera, or Chuy Hinojosa, we talk to them to see what is reasonable and best. Because I'll say this, people say, well, the children don't get sick with COVID. Let's think about this. A student goes to school, they have COVID, mm-hmm. They give it to other children, they pass it on to other children, they give it to the teacher. And these children go home, give it to their parents, their grandparents, maybe their older siblings. Is that what we want? Is that what we want, to see another person die because of our lack of forethought in trying to save every human life possible? We can't do it. I just lost a cousin-in-law to COVID, not because she's a teacher.
Sorry.
And I'm devastated that she's passed. She suffered tremendously. But she leaves behind 2 children and my cousin. And the suffering and the pain is never going to go away, Lisa.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what we have to take into consideration when we're saying, we want to start school. We need our kids to be taken care of. We need this, and that. Yes, things are different now. Look, teachers right now are reinventing public education. We've been doing the same thing and improving on what we know for decades.
Right.
That was cut, and now we're reinventing the work.
Can you agree with me that this COVID situation, as much as it's negative, and I apologize that I didn't just give you some sympathy. I mean, I didn't know that you lost somebody close to you through COVID. And so I really apologize that that this whole situation that's a worldwide pandemic has touched you, right? So I'm sorry about that. And I feel really bad that, you know, we're talking through this whole situation and it's really close to your home. But I also want to mention that, do you feel like it's accelerated where education needed to go anyway? You know, where it was accessible no matter where you were, you had access to the information you needed. Can you, I mean, I'm all about the future, right? And I'm all about thinking about how can we have equal access to information? And it feels like the pandemic may be working on that.
I think when I was talking about challenges earlier, challenges are also opportunities to grow. I've been talking to my colleague, Alice Upshaw Hawkins, CCISD School Board. And Alice and I are both teachers. We worked together at Roy Miller High School as English teachers. And we're looking at this as an opportunity to move forward in a different way. Yes, you're right. We're learning more about technology. We're learning how to deliver education. I wish we would have done this sooner under better circumstances. But unfortunately, it's through these challenges where we have this opportunity to learn. Is it hard? You bet your bottom dollar. Are teachers crying because of the anxiety and the increased workload? You bet your bottom dollar. Are some educators and especially some administrators expecting teachers to work and operate the traditional way? Like, for example, we have a principal. Teachers are inundated. I mean, totally. You wouldn't believe. I had this principal right now, and I'm going to talk to the superintendent about it, that asked the teachers to read a book and that they were going to come together and talk about the book. You know, in ideal circumstances, in the past, that would have been okay. But when we have teachers who are trying to do lesson plans, who are going into all these Zoom meetings, who have to be in front of the computer all day long, who have to grade, who have to change their way of instructional delivery, who have to call parents, all that, all day, every day. Then that type of thing is not necessary and not conducive. So there has to be a culture change too. So not only are we changing education, we're changing the culture of education. And that is just a tremendous, tremendous opportunity and a tremendous challenge.
It is. And I apologize. I got distracted. My little guy was trying to come in here. And so I have 3 kids, Dr. Vera. I have a 13-year-old, a 10-year-old, and a 4-year-old. So this topic is for me, okay? So selfishly, I'm over here as a mom, just thinking through this situation where I'm thinking, okay, so maybe that principal was assigning that book because she felt like it would be a good professional development opportunity for the teachers, right? But maybe right now may not be the time. And maybe instead of assigning a book, it could have been maybe assigning, have you heard of the website Blinkist or optimize.me where they literally distill like books into like 5 to 10 minute videos where you can just get the meat of it and just move on. So maybe that's the micro learning opportunities that need to happen. So I see where the principal was going, but I also see how right now, while everyone's freaking out, that may not be the time. I have a video to share that really paints that picture clearly. So let's just take another break and we'll be right back, okay?
Okay.
Hearts up, mind sharp, compassion on full blast. Okay, let's go.
More than 1,500 K-12 schools across the country plan to shut down.
We're now at a point where the appropriate path is to close schools.
I'm going to try my best not to get emotional during all of this, but our district is going to be closed for the next 6 weeks.
In case someone is watching this video from the future, there is a pandemic happening and schools all over the world are closing down.
I'm gonna have to pack up all my stuff and I am going to head home.
All right, we're headed out. Hopefully we will be here sooner rather than later.
Wow. This is not a break, guys. This is a time in which we are starting to figure out what remote learning could look like.
It's not a job that easily translates to working from home.
What are we going to do? How are we going to do this?
How am I going to teach social skills over the internet? Some of my students don't have internet.
We're all overwhelmed right now. We're all working from home.
Welcome to my makeshift teacher desk area. I'm sorry for the mess.
Multitasking in my pajamas. I have been working on distance learning plans every waking hour.
All right, so I'm about to go in and start my first online lesson. This feels weird. I'm so nervous.
Hello, sir. I think your microphone is off.
Good morning. Week 3 of digital learning has begun. Oh snap, they could not even see today's work yet.
I know what you're gonna say. It's not working! Don't give up, guys. Don't lose hope.
Then you're gonna click go live.
Good morning, pumpkins. Today we're gonna read another couple of chapters.
Here is the data.
That's 1. Let's see if we can do 10.
Welcome to band.
Guys, I'm not gonna lie, that just lifted my mood, like exponentially doing something for my kids. I miss them and I miss teaching.
I've gotten a couple emails from parents and good morning, thank you for the video. She misses you too. We'll keep in contact.
I feel like it's been a positive day of quarantine life and distance learning.
I almost have 100% participation, which I really didn't think was possible.
Day 2 went much better. Day 3 went much better. And so we are doing the very best that we can.
I hope you know, teachers, that you, my beautiful friends, are enough. Whatever instructions that you're providing, whatever tools that you're giving your students, it's all enough.
Welcome back, everyone. My name is Lisa Wisner, and I'm your excited host of PowerUp Hero podcast. I am so excited because today we have with us what I call an education hero. And from my perspective, this person is the type of person who says, no, that's not working. And they say, yes, that's working. And so her superpower is her voice. She makes sure that it's heard, and she makes sure that the people who need to have a voice, that she's there to project for them. It's none other than Dr. Nancy Vera. Welcome back, Dr. Vera.
Thank you, Lisa.
Yeah, did you enjoy that little break? How about that?
I shed a couple of tears here because I know that's exactly, no matter how difficult it may be at the home. Look, teachers are spending their own money. They had to buy cameras. They had to put together a space in their homes to teach the children. They're buying their own materials. And those are the sacrifices that teachers are making right now, but they still have a positive attitude because they want to ensure that our children are going to be successful in their lives, regardless of what the obstacles are.
Yes. And
so I'm very proud of them.
I am. And, I have to tell you, I feel like I have a view because my husband is an instructional technologist for CCISD. Okay. So his job literally just went times 10, because I on the calls and I hear all the teachers talking to him and I'm hearing it all and I'm thinking, my goodness, I wish I could record these and post them so people know how much work is going behind the scenes so their kids are taken care of. So I know just from my heart of hearts, I am so grateful to every single person who has decided to continue in the teaching profession through this pandemic because it's not easy. And the fact that, I know we've had these technologies for a long time. I'm sure the software that we're using now is not something that just got, created because of COVID. Teachers have had access to it, but they haven't had to adjust to using it as fast as they have had to now. So I'm super grateful for that. I'm super grateful that we have teachers in our community who have stepped up and have done that work. But I want to ask you a question. My husband and I were just kind of chit-chatting and he did not tell me this, and he didn't even give me a comment about it, and I was waiting for an answer. But I kind of felt would you agree that there's some teachers who are working with technology better than others and some who are not, right? So during this pandemic, do you think that this may be a good time to reorganize how a classroom is? Like in terms of if a person is not able to deliver virtually, that's hindering their students, right? So could they be a support, right? So could they be doing the grading? Could they be doing the back end work while this person who's really engaging and is able to put the information in front of the students, could that teacher be the one who teaches, more students, right? Because we talk about a classroom having, I don't know what the number is, but the equation is about 20 or more students. Could that teacher instructionally teach more than that, knowing that on the back end, there's a support system of people who may not be adept to technology? What do you think about that idea?
Well, the thing is, we don't need to give up on those teachers who are not adept in technology, just like we don't give up on our students who are not up to par with what we're teaching at whatever moment in time. I think we need to bring those teachers along. And some of the things that we've been doing with the school district, that is CCAFT, Corpus Christi American Federation of Teachers, is we're offering assistance, whether it be through FYIs and talking to perhaps Ms. Perales, who's in charge of technology with CCISD, and especially the program called Canvas that is being utilized to help the teachers with grading, attendance, lesson plans, etc. And we're offering more professional development. We have offered some money to finance maybe a hotline for teachers so that they can improve. So we have instructional paraprofessionals and we have co-teaching, especially for classes that have special needs. So that's already in the work. Now, would I be happy with teachers just grading because they don't know technology? No, I would not be happy with that. I think they need to step up to the plate and they need to do whatever they can to learn. Because every single teacher, Lisa, I cannot tell you.
Yeah.
How many teachers do we have? 3,000, something like that. Well, around the city we have thousands.
Yes.
I guarantee you that each teacher is at a different level in this technology.
Sure.
And I know that that some teachers don't want to go into face-to-face because they're scared. They're scared they're going to get the COVID. So they're learning. And they're going to...
I'm not allowing my kids to go to school because I'm afraid for them, right? So it's the same thing, right? So we don't want to take our kids to school, and I don't expect teachers to want to come into the classroom. But can I ask you a question, in terms of, for example, you brought up Canvas, right? So I've known about, as a parent, I have had access to Canvas for 3 years, I think, right? 2 years. I can't remember. I've known Canvas for a while. But it seems like everybody is now trying to figure out how to use Canvas. Is there some sort of performance measures on the performance of a teacher? If you're not being able to use the technology that the district has purchased, is that even helpful? Because if we're teaching you it now, what are you doing? How are you doing?
Look, Lisa, we don't have enough teachers as it is.
Yeah.
If the teachers aren't keeping up with the technology, they need to learn and they need assistance and they need coaching, period. Because we can't lose those good teachers who may not know the technology. Now, even though Canvas has been here for 3 years, it was implemented and at different levels, depending on your principal, depending on your need for it in the classroom. It was never emphasized that you had to learn Canvas. Except that now suddenly it's become the be-all, end-all to try and deliver instruction to the students. So I think that right now, the Texas Education Agency, along with the commissioner and the governor, are still going to hold teachers accountable and schools accountable, which I think is a mistake because they're doing it on a culture that is in the past now. What we were doing in January, February, that type of teaching is in the past. They need to develop new instruments to meet the needs of the students in technology. Now, there is a section regarding technology, but we have to be patient. We have to be patient, just like we have to be patient with our students. Our students, some of them don't know technology. Some of them don't have Chromebooks yet. Some of them, I have my sister-in-law who teaches elementary school, and she was telling a student to unmute their mic. They didn't know what that meant, and she said, "I can't hear you." So she had to, So she ordered a little icon with a microphone that had microphone on, so they would know what they, and then microphone off with a slash to it. I mean, they have to be creative in that. So there are different obstacles, and you just have to be creative.
I think one of the most difficult things for me is the fact that I am so grateful every day. When I do my affirmations in the morning and my gratitude, I think to myself how grateful I am that my kids, each one of my kids, has access to technology. They don't have to share a laptop. They have access to Wi-Fi.
And so just work, right? A place in the home to work.
And yes, and me being at home. Like, I have to tell you, can you imagine an elementary school child? Like, the fact that you're telling me an elementary school child doesn't know, has to figure out the unmute and mute on their own, through the teacher. That is a struggle, right? That is teaching beyond what we imagined teaching to be. But can I ask you this, right? So I think one of the things that I'm asking you these tough questions right now, right? These are my questions for you, right?
That's fine. I can do it.
As we're shifting, right? So there needs to be a shift. I've always believed from 10 years ago, we started PowerUp. And the reason we did was because I knew when I started Texas Techies, I could see very clearly that where there was adversity is where there was opportunity. So the students that would come into my Texas Techies classes who didn't go home to a computer, right? So they would go home and they wouldn't see a computer. They would come to my computer classes and it would be like, oh my gosh, I'm on a computer. They were thriving more than the kids who I knew had a computer at home. So that's why we started PowerUp, because I knew we needed to provide access to technology so our communities can become successful. Technology is not a luxury. And COVID has made it more clear than anything. Dr. Vera, can you tell me what we are doing? And I may not know the answers, but tell me, what are we doing in Corpus Christi to make sure that every student who does not have access to Wi-Fi, who does not have access to the internet, what are we to computers, to technology, to a device to be able to connect? How are we making sure that they have that access?
Well, the first thing is that the Corpus Christi Independent School District has allotted significant amount of money to buy Chromebooks for the students. Now, some are on back order, and they still need more. I know through the Corpus Christi American Federation of Teachers, we're going to team up with Carrie Perales from CCISD Technology, and we're going to see how we can get a grant from the American Federation of Teachers to help provide perhaps some of those Chromebooks or some of the assistance that the children need, especially those who do not have access to technology. But also, one of the things that we did learn, years ago, Lisa, the Corpus Christi, City of Corpus Christi had invested in Wi-Fi antennas. And
I remember, Connect CC.
Yes, and I'm thinking, do those towers still work? Can we provide those towers for our community so that they can have access?
Can I just touch on that? So I don't know if you guys know this, Corpus Christians, but I don't know how long ago it was, maybe 10 years ago. We were the #1 most connected city in the entire United States. And that was an achievement. I don't know if it was 2007. That's what I think it was.
It's a big deal.
Connected the whole city. Connect CC was citywide. But just like anything, you can't just put something up and expect it to exist for eternity. It needed to be maintained. And of course, funding got cut for one reason or another. I think at that exact time is when the recession happened and they cut that funding for Connect CC. So Connect CC is only in certain pockets now. But I see where you're going, right? We were right there. We were already in a situation where everyone in Corpus would have access to the internet. I love it. I love what you're saying. Keep going. Tell us more.
So we need to do more. We need to work more closely as a community and looking toward the future and not cut back on things that, for example, the Wi-Fi, the free access, because our children need it. Many people in our community need it. Everything is on the internet now, so many of our homeless don't have access to technology. We need to have that available, whether it's a center. The libraries provide that kind of internet access, but it's few and far between that we're able to access the homeless and are able to access technology in the libraries. Well, and let's be honest, we have some folks who just don't know technology at all. We have parents who are poverty-stricken, who really are not of that technology culture. And let's remember this too, Lisa. Our schools are a microcosm of our community. if we're going to see our schools improve and our children's behavior improve, if it needs improvement, or do away with domestic violence, do away with poverty, do away with all of those things, then we need to make sure that we provide that kind of support in our community first.
Yes.
And lift them up instead of deciding, well, let's go ahead, and I'm not trying to put anyone down because of this, let's go ahead and give tax breaks to this group over here, or tax breaks to this. Those taxes are there for a reason. We need them to better everybody's lives. And I just think that we need to do more, and we need to think this through. Perhaps, I know that there's lots of planning going on. Let's develop this, let's develop that. How about developing our people?
Yes.
I think that's the thing.
Let's
get our talents together, and let's see how we can work this through. And that's the reason why. That's in community engagement for the AFT is so important in bringing people together to look for solutions and ways to be able to help other people. And that is why through our efforts, and I'm not going to say I was the only one, but AFT was the only one, but we pushed hard for a delay in school starting until September the 8th because we knew that our classrooms were not prepared. Our superintendents knew, but they couldn't speak up and speak out the way I can because nobody tells me what to do.
You can go from start a podcast.
We're all online. And so when we started pushing for that, the teachers did, we knew that that was the best thing to do for our students in our community. And we worked with Barbara Canales. We worked with the commissioners court, some of the commissioners. We made phone calls. We worked with, like I said earlier, Todd Hunter, Abel Herrero, Chuy Hinojosa, and we accomplished that. Now what we're trying to do is, and what I've been asking the superintendent to do, is to provide an even longer period, that is, apply to the Texas Education Agency for a waiver to extend face-to-face teaching, or online teaching, to extend virtual teaching through October. And it looks like on the school board agenda on Monday, that's going to be an item on the school that the school board members are going to discuss. And I think that CCISD is moving forward in trying to maintain virtual teaching through October. And I think that's the smart thing to do because we still don't have a hold on this virus. And we still don't know what our classrooms need to look like. We still don't know.
We don't. And can I say something? I feel like sometimes if you're trying to figure out two positions to be in, you can't serve two I guess, actions, right? So one of them is going to fail, right? You got to be all in on one, or you're just doing 50-50, right?
Right.
And it's not helpful. And if I, as a parent, was able to figure out how to manage online school until October, then I'm pretty sure I can handle it until December. And I know that may not be for everybody, but my point here is that if it's for the safety of our children and also for the quality of instruction, imagine how much work is going into online instruction right now and then having to flip it back to doing both. Because I can promise you, going back to school does not mean that all the kids are coming back. It means
they're not.
They're now going to have to do hybrid. They're going to have to know that they have however many kids, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in the classrooms, social distancing, by the way, right? How are you going to social distance, right, in the classroom? And then you have the ones at home. So the ones at home are watching online or whatever, right? So the point is, I think there just needs to be a decision, right? Make a decision so people can move forward.
That's right. And I think that was the problem all along, is that these superintendents across the state were waiting on Commissioner Morath and the governor, and they made these decisions late. Usually school districts have everything planned out by the end of the previous school year, and they know what they're going to do. In this case, they didn't know until about, I would say, less than a month ago what it was going to look like. And that's not fair to our kids, and that's not fair to our students. I'm hoping, though, I have hope that there's going to be a shift or a change in this country where we will have hope and common sense to save the lives of thousands of people. I think that in postponing the start of school through September the 8th, we saved lives. When that happened, because I was all in that, I was elated and I started to cry because I know the suffering And I know the anxiety and I know the fear. And in doing that, Lisa, we saved lives. Dr. Ananda saved lives. Mm-hmm. And what's more important than the life of a human being?
Nothing more. In fact, for every person that I've heard, you know, it's like every day you get the message, like 5 people, 6 people, 10 people, you know, it's just like every day. And you think, and people may be saying, oh, it's going down. It's no problem. It's like every person is a person who had loved ones, who had a community that maybe they supported. And what has happened? Our community has been impacted by one life. So if you could save one life, right, Dr. Vera, if even just one life, right? Because going into the classroom, it's not, I mean, we can learn. People have been learning online all day long. They've been learning online before COVID. So I think for me, it's not critical for you to go back to the classroom, okay?
And let me say something too. Lisa, right along that. Students are resilient. They'll come back. They will learn. They know what they need to know.
Exactly.
They've got it. Just give them a chance. Give our teachers a chance.
Yes. I'm gonna quote Dr. Vera, and then I'm gonna ask her a critical question. Dr. Vera said this: educating our children in public school has been a long-standing and true civil rights issue based on a promise to provide all children with an equal opportunity for achievement and a life of learning. The way to ensure that promise is by providing public schools that are open to all, regardless of race, income, background, language, and disability. Dr. Vera, we had somebody who made a comment on Facebook, and she asked, Nancy, you're such a great role model for strength. Do you have any political aspirations?
Well, you know, the people I admire most, and I admire a lot of people, Mother Teresa of Calcutta, Mahatma Gandhi, Maya Angelou, Dr. Hector P. Garcia. They never ran for a political office. My idea, maybe my mind will change, but right now I'm focused on trying to make our community a better place. Look, I had opportunities. I had moved to Dallas and San Antonio, and there were major opportunities for me, for my career, to make 6 figures and all that. I was unhappy. I wanted to come home to my family. I wanted to come home to Corpus Christi because I know that the need is here. I don't know if running for a political office will tie my hands in terms of making decisions and advocating for the disenfranchised and marginalized. I have seen too many people who go get into office and they can't say this because they might offend this person or this company or this contributor to the campaign. I believe that many of us are heroes in our own communities, in our own worlds, in our families, to our children. Heck, mothers, my mother was a hero in my family. And so if there is an opportunity for run for political office that I feel would be worth in terms of helping other human beings, then I'll do it. But at this point, with the Corpus Christi American Federation of Teachers, that itself is a grand vehicle to be able to help others and to have influence in this community. I have the support of the National AFT. We have the support of the Texas AFT. Our teachers, custodians, bus drivers, nurses, diagnosticians, and counselors are working hard, and I want to work for them. In helping them, we help the children. Let me tell you this. There's a hero here I consider wonderful. Her name is Gloria Hicks. When I was at Miller High School, I was an interim assistant principal. And I met her at the barbecue, Max Barbecue, which was right across the street from Miller High School. I was introduced to her by a mutual friend. And she said, make me a list of what you need at Miller. And I said, yeah, sure, right. So I went back and I made a list and I emailed it to her. Within, I think, about 3 months, she was able to garner $60,000 in kind and in cash for Roy Miller High School. So the students in need would have the equipment, the students with special education would have the equipment they need. About a year later, I was talking to my mom. My mom and I were having coffee and pan dulce. And I was being a little facetious. And I said, Ma, come on. I said, who should I name the new school after? And she said, well, let's talk about this. I see, who does this person have to be? I said, well, it has to be someone who doesn't think they're all that in a bag of chips. I said, it has to be somebody who's kind, who's gentle, who's generous. And she said, who are you describing, Nancy? I said, Gloria Hicks. And she said, Gloria Hicks. So we drank our coffee. And I said, that's it. I'm going to do it. So I made all of the arrangements. And that school was named after Gloria Hicks. Why? Look, and this is without having any political office. The children in Gloria Hicks Elementary School want for nothing, Lisa. She has helped so many students in giving them supplies, giving them equipment, but also giving of her time to that school. When we succeeded in naming the school for Gloria, she came up to me and she said, Nancy, you made this old lady happy. And even though I did it to honor her, the underlying reason, and don't tell her, is because I knew that she would do right by the thousands of students who would go through Gloria Hicks Elementary School. Now that is political, and that is doing something without having to have a political office. If I can do that,
yeah,
if I can do that, and to me, my name's not going to go on Gloria Hicks Elementary. Nothing, none of that. I worked very hard for that. But look at what Gloria Hicks has been able to accomplish. And she gives and gives and gives, talking about a hero, a shiro.
I know. Why isn't she on this show already?
I don't know. I was going to ask you.
Let me tell you, when you say the name Gloria Hicks, I mean, the number of organizations I can tell you that this woman not only supports, but is a part of. What I love about Gloria Hicks is she's not just the type of person who's like, oh, I'm just going to write you a check. I'm just going to write you a check. She is right there with you making things happen. And I have seen it with my own eyes and I've felt it with my heart. And so I know what you're talking about. You're talking about a person in our community who is a role model. I aspire to be, in a situation in my life where I'm like Gloria Hicks and I can just write a check for whatever it is that you need. And the point here is that we all aspire for that. And I absolutely love your answer, which is really, it doesn't matter if you have political office. One of the things that I love about this situation we're in terms of our election is that I hope it's making people realize that you can't wait for a political agent, right? A political person who gets elected to make your dreams come true. It doesn't work like that. You need to be, and I have a video that I did where I was really kind of mad when I made this speech, but I was kind of like, you need to be your own president. Are you the president of your life? Are you the president in your house? Do you know your State of the Union? Do you know your budget? Like if you were the president? And how dare you go vote for our country if you don't even live your life like you are the president of it? How dare you think you can tell people who is going to run our country if you don't even understand your own being, right? So I think for me, I feel like people need to live like you're living, which is you don't have to wait for a political office to make impact. And actually, sometimes, yes, you're right. It could be a barrier, right? It could be the chains that hold you down because you have certain protocols you have to follow when you do become a political officer. But I have to tell you, Dr. Vera, if you did run for office, you have the support of a lot of people because I think sometimes we have people who may run for office and they're kind of passive, right? They're just sitting there, just kind of like, okay, I could get elected, but I'm not really going to shake the waters. I'm not really going to say anything. And it's like, no, we need people who are going to make things happen and people who believe that we're moving the human race forward, right? We're inching the human race forward, not taking steps back, right? We're taking steps forward. So I want to bring something up which is going on next week, okay? So next week is Women's Equality Day. And I know for sure that schools were as a result of suffragists. If you look at the history of our school systems, you will understand that women suffragists were the ones who made things happen. They demanded universal education that was available at no cost for everyone, regardless of who you are. They really advocated for that. Can you tell me like just a little bit about maybe, part of my goal is to ask women, right? So women that I meet is to ask them, what does women's equality mean to you? So Dr. Vera, tell us, what does women's equality mean to you, knowing that next week is our 100th anniversary of women's right to vote?
Well, as you asked me my question, I'm getting chills. And I think we as women have a lot of wisdom and we have a lot of intuition. And when we're celebrating women's suffrage, that means to me that the hard work of many women, especially our mothers, our grandmothers, and our great-grandmothers, who indeed had to scrub floors and wash windows and be slaves at times to their husbands, their suffering is not in vain. That we are going to move forward and we're going to lift our children up. We're going to lift even our men up so that we can be a better community. So when women's suffrage comes along and we're celebrating women's suffrage, I celebrate the courage, the determination, and the perseverance of women in our country and in our families. That's what I think, Lisa, women's suffrage should be about.
I love it. Oh my gosh, you just like wrapped it in a bow, Dr. Vera. You really did. So I hope you can join us, and I'm inviting every one of you who's watching right now. This Wednesday, we have a special celebration at 6 p.m., August 26th, on the Facebook page of the YWCA. We are going to be hosting a centennial celebration, and we have amazing speakers. So I hope you will join us. If you go to the YWCA Corpus Christi page, you can go ahead and just remind yourself to come to that live stream. We're going to be streaming live to you. We have amazing speakers that are set up. But more important than that, I think for me, it's about an opportunity for you to know that being able to vote should not be taken lightly. There was years and years of women who fought for the opportunity that you have today to vote. So I want to thank you so much for giving us that. But just to lighten it up a little bit, I'm going to ask you our favorite five finger favorites, and we want you to recommend to us a few things that we think that as a hero that you might see that fall in line with the person that you are. So the first 5 finger favorites that I'm going to ask you is, what is your favorite book, Dr. Vera?
Bless Me Ultima by Rodolfo Anaya.
What? Can you say that again?
Bless Me Ultima by Rodolfo Anaya.
Okay, so
my favorite movie is the same thing. Bless Me Ultima by Rodolfo Anaya. Strong woman figure.
What does it mean? Is that in Spanish?
Yes, Bless Me, and Ultima is the name of the one of the main characters, or the main character, and she's a spiritualist, and she gives advice to this young boy, and she's just a healer, and that's what women are, healers, aren't we? In many senses. So that's why I like Bless Me Ultima, because she says at the end, it's a beautiful, I start crying at the end, I'm a crybaby at that. She says, I bless you, Antonio, with all the good in the world and on the earth, with all that is natural and all that is wonderful. I bless you. And that's just so powerful. So let's bless one another. Let's bless everyone by supporting each other, by being there for each other. That's what we need to do, Lisa.
We do.
That's why I like Bless Me Ultima.
It sounds like it's spreading love. That's what that sounds like. It's like spread love to the world. So that's your favorite book and your favorite movie, right? Bless Ultima.
Ultima means last one.
Ultima. The ultimate. Okay. Perfect. I got that down. I have a tracking of things I need to watch. So sometimes you're like, what should I watch? I have a list. So I'm going to add that to my list. And then I'm going to ask you 5 finger favorites. I'm going to ask you, what's your favorite song right now?
Right now, at this very moment, it's a little political, but it's the OJs singing Love Train, Join the Love Train, but that's for the Biden and Harris ticket. But I love it. Okay. But
That's great. That's a good song anyway.
My other song is There's a Place in the Sun by Stevie Wonder. It's an oldie, but it says there's a place in the sun where there's hope for everyone. Where my poor hearts, but I say for everyone, where our poor restless hearts are going to go. And so it's an inspirational song that I always like to hear when I'm feeling a little blue.
I love it. Every time I hear Stevie Wonder, I'm like, can you believe I've met Stevie Wonder? I met him in an airport and we were going on the same flight. I couldn't believe it.
That's so cool.
Believe it, y'all.
That is so cool.
I like the whole flight. I couldn't even function. Okay, I was okay. The whole time I'm like, can I just go to the front, please? Somebody take me to the front. Okay. What is your favorite quote?
Well, it's of course Maya Angelou. When you know better, do better. When you know better, do better.
Yes.
Because maybe we don't know everything, Lisa. You know, I would think, oh, look, I went to college. I got my. We don't know nothing. We're still learning, and sometimes we handle things. May not be the right thing. Maybe that'll hurt somebody, but and sometimes we have to do that.
Yeah.
But if we can do it in a more kinder way, or a kinder way, in a way that will elevate all of us. It's like Michelle Obama says, when they go low, we go high. It's the same thing. When you know better, do better. We have to go high. We have to go high by going out to vote, by supporting one another, even if we don't see each other for years, right, Lisa?
Oh my God.
I've got your back.
I haven't even seen you forever. We haven't even caught up with our tea. Where's tea or coffee? Like, we're catching up.
I've got your back. Yeah. I've got the back, and I know that you've got mine.
Yeah.
And that's what it's about. And when we do better, when we know better, that makes the whole world a better place to live.
It does.
So in these times of hardship, which is quite depressing, it almost feels like the end of the world in some cases. Sometimes it's very depressing. We must go ahead and accept this challenge and have hope that things will change, that more funding will go toward public education and our children from the federal government, that we will find a vaccine for this horrid disease, this virus, and that we will soon be able to walk out of our homes without wearing a mask. And that's why I say we've got to find the way, regardless of the challenge. And we have to keep that hope and keep our chins up and support one another. It's hard enough when we lose people and you know, because of illness or anything like that. But in this time when we have had so many people that I know, and probably you know, die, it's horrifying and it's very, very sad.
You know, and I think your quote that you picked, right? So, of course, we remember Maya Angelou, but the most important thing here is that her quote has to do with the more education you have, the more responsibility you have, I guess.
That's true.
Now you know what you don't know. and now you realize, man, there's every day is an opportunity to see where there's room for improvement. And at least that's how I live my life. I kind of think to myself, I know what I'm doing. I kind of have a lens on what I need to do, but I'm always conscious of my biases. I have, but everybody has them. And the moment you say you don't have biases, that's your bias right there, right? So you
that's right.
Just realize to yourself that you have the biggest one. So the way I do this actually, just so you know, Dr. Vera, is every morning I have a protocol that I run. And the reason I run it this way is because I feel like you can control outside circumstances. You know, like Stephen Covey says, carry your own umbrella. So make sure you're ready for whatever, right? So you can't control whether it's going to rain or not, or it's going to be too sunny, right? So you just got to be ready, right? And the point here is there's different protocols you can do to get yourself ready. And Darren Hardy and many other people have taught us that you have to bookend your life, right? So you have to have the most control you have of your life is how you end your day and how you start your day. So Dr. Vera, I'm going to ask you, how do you wake up in the morning? If you had the perfect day, how would you rise up and make the day amazing?
I would get up, open the blinds, let the sun in, say hello to my cats and feed them. And then I would go exercise. Of course, we can't go to the gyms anymore. I'd go to the gym and exercise. And I'd call my family. I'd call on my mother, who's not here anymore, and see how she's doing. And I do that anyway. And I would go out and just celebrate life and take care of others and open that social justice center, the reality of opening a social justice center where everyone is welcome. Everyone.
I love it. I love it. Is that going to be your legacy, is making sure you open that center?
Well, I don't know, because it's going to probably, but I don't know if I'm going to die tomorrow if I get the COVID. So I'm hoping that maybe my niece or nephew will carry on if I don't get to do it. You never know. You never know. So
can I say something? So this COVID has been a situation, right? But at the same time, hasn't it made you realize that you don't know if you're going to get COVID tomorrow? So can you do what you need to do today to make sure that you lived your life, right?
Yes, I know. I'm doing all sorts of things.
Yeah. So what if, let's just say,
in case.
This went from a 1-hour interview to like the whole day. But let's just go there, right? So Dr. Vera, knowing what you know now, if you knew you were going to get COVID and you were not going to live for the next 9 days, let's just imagine, right? What would you do today?
I would make sure that I had all my funeral arrangements done so that my family wouldn't have to worry about it. I would call my family and tell them that I love them with all my heart and all my soul. And I would make phone calls to people who have been most influential in my life and thank them for allowing me to be part of their lives. And I honor them. And I'm saying I'm joining my mama and my grandparents and my dad, wherever they may be, and my aunts and my uncles. So that's what I would do. And I would make sure my cats were taken care of.
How many cats do you have?
I have 2 inside. One is a little Siamese she's a miracle baby.
Yeah.
Or Muffin. And then I have 3 outside that they're strays. I cannot not feed the strays. That's a double negative.
Yeah.
So I
feed all the cats.
yeah. But I have one Paquita. My brother calls her the devil incarnate because she's so mean. But that's all right. I love her anyway.
Hey, I tell you what, I think cats have the personality of what the energy they see. So whatever energy, I don't know why I said that, but I feel like sometimes that's how I feel. I feel like, hey, if you're projecting weird energy, the cat's going to come at you with weird energy. So at least that's my experience with cats, right? So you got to come in with love, and then it comes to you, and you're just like,
yes.
So Dr. Vera, we're calling you a PowerUp hero. So in closing, I just want to ask you, what does being a hero mean to you? What is your definition of a hero?
A hero means being an advocate, being someone people can depend on to speak up and speak out without fear, and to be able to sustain a level of dignity and to sustain a level of credibility, to be able to move things forward or move agendas forward in a positive way. So to me, a hero, even though I don't necessarily think that I do anything out of the ordinary, I do things that I feel passionate about to defend and the disenfranchised and marginalized in every sense of the word. So that's what I think a hero is, and how I am a hero is being an advocate with my voice.
I love it. You are our PowerUp hero of education. And again, your superpower is your voice. So I love how you say that your voice is what it is. So how can people get in touch with you, Dr. Vera?
They can get on Facebook, and they can find the Corpus Christi American Federation of Teachers, and they can send me a message. If not, if you know anyone in the community who is even a little political, they'll have my phone number. Everybody has my phone number. So So call us or look us up on Facebook. And of course, we have a website, but mostly Facebook. That's how we communicate. Or you can call the Corpus Christi American Federation of Teachers at 361-855-0482.
Yes. And if you watched the short little clip that I shared earlier, it was about the American Federation of Teachers. You can find more really awesome videos just like that on their Facebook page. That's exactly where I found it. So go on there and just know that Dr. Vera goes live frequently.
I'm going live today.
Yeah. She brought in my husband's boss, who was talking about instructional technology, which is pretty awesome to listen. So I have to just give a shout out to you for being a sharer of information. It's important to share the information.
Yes,
so Dr. Vera, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you, Lisa.
I hope you have a great rest of your day.
God bless you.
Bye.
Bye.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm pretty sure you were excited during this show. For me, as a parent, I really wanted to get some information from Dr. Vera, but I hope you got a sense of why this person is a PowerUp hero. And not only for our community, but for educators all over. This woman really has a voice. And so when she says her superpower is her voice, I'll tell you what, she does not hold back. She makes sure that her voice is heard, her story is told, and also sharing stories of how other people are moving things forward and making things happen in our community. That is what she does. And I was just honored today to give her the award of being a PowerUp hero. So if you want to find out more about Dr. Vera, our PowerUp hero that you heard about today, you can visit our website, which is poweruphero.org, poweruphero.org. Right there, you can find out more about her. And then also, we want to hear your story. We also want you on this show because this show is all about everyday heroes. So go ahead and either nominate yourself or nominate somebody who you know who would be a PowerUp hero. We're getting tons of nominations. So I feel like my calendar is filling up with tons of people to speak with. But I'm so excited because I want you to join us on this journey of sharing stories of people who are inspirational in your life. If you haven't done this already, please subscribe. Whatever avenue that you're listening on, please make sure you subscribe. We have multiple ways that you can get in touch with us on YouTube, on Facebook, on SoundCloud, on Stitcher, anywhere and everywhere that you can get in touch with audio and video. We're there, so make sure you subscribe so that you can stay in touch with the PowerUp Hero Show. Once again, this show is for you, and we hope that you were inspired, we hope you were encouraged, and we hope you were educated. But more important than that, we hope you saw an opportunity for you to serve the community beyond what you are doing right now. Not that you're not doing enough, but there's always an opportunity to do more. And for me, I always feel like the teams that I serve with, it's an opportunity for me to learn how I can serve them better. So hopefully you saw a glimpse of how you can do that. But more important than that, for yourself. How can you serve yourself better? And then also help this world become better, because we need heroes, and you may be that hero that we've all been waiting for. I'm Lisa Wisner. You are listening to the PowerUp Hero Show. So without any further ado, I'm going to end it with this amazing video that we picked up from YouTube, and I hope you enjoy it as we end this show about being PowerUp heroes, with a thank you to all of our educators for being heroes during this difficult time. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Bye.
4 + 1 is
16. How many pints of iced tea are left in the pitcher?
Times 10. So, wait.
You want to show us the continents and the No. It's not going good. My mom is getting stressed out. Is it big deal, Joey?
Mama's tired.
I
So starting just quickly by breathing in.
I never thought I'd say this, but I kind of miss school.
Teachers, y'all the gift of people.
I thank you so much for what you're doing.
Their investment into our children is beyond what we can even imagine. Appreciate all that you do.